News Channel 15 presents The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television, with hosts Bryce West and Ian Lloyd. This is The Film Reel. Hello and welcome into The Film Reel, the talk show where we discuss everything going on in the world of movies and television. I am Bryce West alongside Ian Lloyd. And we've got an action-packed episode for you all today. We're going to be reviewing the latest DC Extended Universe film, The Flash, which comes out today. But before that, let's take a look at the box office report for this week.
Coming in at number 5 is The Boogeyman, starring Sophie Thatcher, Chris Messina, and Vivian Lyra Blair. Still reeling from the tragic death of their mother, a teenage girl and her younger sister find themselves plagued by a sadistic presence in their house and struggle to get their grieving father to pay attention before it's too late. The film brought in $7.2 million, dropping 42.1% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Eli Grimes.
Coming in at number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 starring Chris Pratt, Chakotay Awuji, and Bradley Cooper. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill rallies his team to defend the universe and one of their own. A mission that could mean the end of the Guardians if not successful. The film brought in $7.2 million, dropping 32.3% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Tegan Roll.
Coming in at number 3 is The Little Mermaid starring Halle Bailey, Jonah Hauer-King, and Melissa McCarthy. A young mermaid makes a deal with a sea witch to trade her beautiful voice for human legs so she can discover the world above water and impress a prince. The film brought in $23.2 million, dropping 44.1% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Mallory Burton.
Coming in at number 2 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, starring Shameik Moore and Haley Steinfeld. Miles Morales catapults across the multiverse, where he encounters a team of spider people charged with protecting its very existence. When the heroes clash on how to handle a new threat, Miles must redefine what it means to be a hero. The film brought in $55.5 million, dropping 54% from last weekend. For The Film Reel, I'm Drew Poundton.
Coming in at number 1 is Transformers Rise of the Beast, starring Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. During the 90s, a new faction of Transformers, the Maximals, joined the Autobots as allies in the battle for Earth. The film opened with $61 million. For The Film Reel, I'm Ian Klingler.
Well, there we have it. Transformers Rise of the Beast coming in at number 1. Not really a huge shock. It opened at around $61 million. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse wasn't too far behind for it being in its second weekend, coming in at $55.5 million. So honestly, I could see these two kind of trading off in the coming weeks. I think Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is definitely going to have a lot better word of mouth than Transformers Rise of the Beast, even though that's a movie I enjoyed quite a bit. But I think comparing it to what could potentially be the greatest comic book movie of all time,
it's
you know,
it's going to have more legs than Transformers.
I mean,
100%.
I thought Transformers was pretty good, and compared to Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, it's the worst movie of all time. So that's how good Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is, essentially. You know, but and then Little Mermaid goes from 2 to 3. I mean, yes, 2 to 3. Not a huge shock. Reviews weren't all that great. Didn't really add much. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 stays at 4. The invincible Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but maybe not for much longer. And The Boogeyman goes from 3 to 5. So that I'm pretty surprised that movie stayed in the top 5 for another week. Usually horror films are in and then they're out, unless they're a part of a larger franchise. But Boogeyman stayed in for another week, which is pretty impressive. So we're going to go ahead and go into our predictions for next weekend. So number 1, it's opening today. I have The Flash. I think it's pretty clearly going to open at number 1, even though box office predictions currently are actually fairly low for the film. I think it'll still be able to beat out its predecessors. Coming in at number 2, I think will be actually Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse overtaking Transformers. I think just the word of mouth on this film is going to carry it in its future weeks throughout the box office. It is seriously one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. If you haven't seen it already, definitely be sure to check it out. Coming in at number 3, I think it'll be Transformers Rise of the Beast. I think it'll I don't think it'll quite make it to number 2, but I think it will be in number 3. But I think it'll actually be pretty close though. Coming in at number 4 is a new release that we'll actually be talking about tomorrow. Is Elemental, the latest latest Disney Pixar film. I think, it's just got a lot of competition, and Pixar films have not been doing great at the box office here with the past few releases, so I think it'll open in at number 4. And then number 5 is The Little Mermaid. I think it's got one more week, and then it'll be gone. I think just nobody really seemed to care for this remake. Didn't really add much, and didn't really do anything new. So I don't think people are going to be doing any rewatches of this one.
No. So you had exactly what I had on my list, so I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to do number 1, Flash, number 2, Spider-Man, and then I'm going to do number 3, Elemental, hedging my bets right now, then Transformers at number 4, and then, this is the wild card. This is not going to work out, but I'm going to say Guardians is still going to be number 5. It's a huge bet, but I'm hoping Little Mermaid is going to completely drop off.
It very well could. Yeah. I mean, because Guardians of the Galaxy, I mean, it's another film to where widely critically acclaimed. Yeah. So by both critics and the audience, and so I definitely think it could have more of a future in the box office. But I mean, if it does make it in, this is going to be one of the more impressive runs. For a movie in quite a while in the box office. But since Ian was not here last week, we don't have a punishment segment because we weren't really able to have a competition. But what are you doing?
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
But instead, we're going to be talking about Superman and Lois. I know we're actually talking about TV on the Movie and TV News Talk Show. But we're going to be talking about Superman and Lois, which was just renewed for a 4th season. But it comes at a cost. So Superman and Lois was renewed for a 4th season at the CW after basically the DC TV purge that has been going on. Pretty much all of their live action shows have been canceled or ended with the new DC leadership coming in. But Superman and Lois sticks around, but it's like 2/3 of the cast is leaving. Yikes. Which is, at this point, is kind of like, what's the point? I mean, they have the main character, like the really important character staying, Superman, Lois, and their son. Well, and then their sons, Jonathan and Jordan, are sticking around. And then Lex Luthor will be promoted to a series regular in the 4th season. But pretty much the show's entire supporting cast is gone.
It begs the question, what are we doing here?
Yeah, well, it's just. Did it really, it kind of begs the question, did it really get renewed? Because it seems like it's going to feel like a completely different show at this point. I mean, like I said, you have the main, super important character staying, but I feel like, with the whole supporting cast gone, it's just not going to be the same show that people fell in love with. I don't think any of these characters are necessarily needed for the show to continue, but it's definitely going to be a completely different program. It'll be really interesting to see how they kind of work around that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then after this, we have our review for DC's The Flash.
News Channel 15, winner of the Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Award for the nation's best community college TV station.
I am Jordan Crow. I'm a registered nurse and director of case management here at Wabash General Hospital. I started my journey with Wabash General Hospital in 2011 and a part of the Health Occupations program. After that experience, I decided I did want to pursue nursing. What matters the most to me about working at Wabash General Hospital is the flexibility that it allows for me to live and work close to home. It allows more time with my family and also allows me the opportunity to serve the community that I grew up in.
Come see the Tri-State's largest display of high-quality, affordable furniture and home decor at Timberlake Furniture. With a warehouse spanning more than 8 football fields in length, you'll find what you're looking for and can take it home with you the same day. Shop the latest styles from the name brands you know and trust, all at the lowest prices anywhere. Check out our huge selection of top-quality mattresses from Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and Stearns & Foster. And shop our closeout mattress sale going on now. Timberlake Furniture, so your house feels like home.
Welcome back into the film reel. Today we're going to be reviewing DC's The Flash, which comes out this weekend. And let's just get right into it. It was great.
Surprisingly, really solid. And you would think with like the multiverse things and everything riding on this movie's shoulders that it would kind of fall flat. But it actually kind of gives us a great Flash movie and does all of that multiverse stuff as well in a way that's like kind of more impressive than even like No Way Home or Multiverse of Madness was.
Yeah, I think it did something quite different with the multiverse in this one. Not really something that I was expecting, but it was a pleasant surprise because we've had so many of these multiverse movies here lately with, it first started with Spider-Man No Way Home, then we got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and then we got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
And then we got Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Well, that too. And all of those movies felt like they kind of followed the same rules and the same formula. Like it just kind of, they all kind of felt very similar in the same. Some of them were better than others, but they felt like they were all kind of doing very similar things. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is definitely the most different out of those that we listed.
Yeah.
But at least with the superhero films, they kind of felt samey. But with this one, they do something different with the multiverse. It has a little bit different rules. We're dealing with DC here, and I thought the way they handled it was actually pretty interesting with their rules. I mean, we're gonna try our best not to get into spoilers. It's gonna be quite difficult for this film. But
yeah, it felt very classic in its approach to explaining the multiverse to us in a way that is like just easy and accessible, and also this movie really felt like a step in the right direction for DC in general.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the step in the right direction is supposedly the end of the DC Extended Universe, which is the current cinematic universe that has been running since Man of Steel in 2013. Now we're going to be moving into the DCU, drop the E, led by James Gunn and Peter Safran, which it's going to be interesting to see because, I mean, with the end of The Flash, without spoilers, it leaves things open for quite a few characters to stick around. Some characters are different, some characters are not, and so it'll be interesting to see how or if they even stick to the ending of The Flash, or if they just decide multiverse, let's just change everything and move on. That'll be interesting to see. But let's talk about some of the performances. Ezra Miller. We can say what we will about their behavior in the most recent years in real life, some of the crimes they've committed, but Ezra Miller is absolutely phenomenal in this film. I mean, absolutely. I mean, don't let Michael Keaton Batman fool you. I mean, this is definitely a Flash movie. I think some of the marketing was them trying to hide Ezra Miller a bit because of their legal troubles, but Ezra Miller is the star of this film, and they have an absolutely tremendous performances as both Barry Allen, the one that we know, and then Barry Allen from the alternate timeline, the younger version of Barry Allen. Both performances were done really well. I think they were able to play off of their two performances very well, surprisingly well. I think the younger Barry definitely came off as quite annoying at times, but
I thought he was hilarious.
But I think it worked well to sort of develop the Barry that we know.
Yeah. Their dichotomy was the funnest part of this movie for me. I love their interactions, and it really there's a lot of references to Back to the Future in this movie, but even more so than that, there's just a meta reference in the way that we see all the technological advancements that Robert Zemeckis first started in Back to the Future 2, with multiple just the same actor on screen and multiple different roles. And we see that elevated here in some truly mind-boggling ways. It's crazy how they pulled this off.
Ezra Miller does so good in these roles that it really feels like you forget that they're just the same actor. Yeah. Both characters were different in their own ways, and both performances were done so well that you don't constantly feel like that you're watching the same actor on screen, which I think is something that is very, very hard to pull off, and they do it incredibly well here.
Yeah, they're fully committed, and it's a solid performance.
Yeah, we've got a few Batmen in this film. We're going to talk about the ones that are in the trailers as to not spoil the film. But we'll start off with Ben Affleck. He's the Batman that we know from the DC Extended Universe, and he wasn't in this film a whole lot, but from what we got to see, I think it was a pretty good performance.
He was, to me, this was his best performance as this type of Batman that we've seen him in like all these movies. He is just, he's great. He is like that Batman, that kind of more intense Batman after Robin's death, and I really see his performance like pulled together a lot more here than it was previously.
Yeah, and I think his relationship with Barry throughout the beginning of the film was done really, really well. I think, him trying to convince him, hey, maybe this whole time travel thing isn't a great idea. Yeah, we did it back in the Justice League film for like a second, but you're talking about like going back years. So maybe you shouldn't do that, Barry. And it turns out Bruce was right. But then he doesn't listen to Bruce, and then we meet another Bruce played by Michael Keaton. And Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne Batman was pretty fun in this film. I mean, I think you get pretty much exactly what you're expecting from this. Yeah. It's not anything too crazy of a performance, but it was definitely nice to see him back on the big screen.
Michael Keaton is just so good, one of our finest actors still living, and I love to see him back as this character. He just fits back into the role easily. It's like there's a span of time in between when we last saw him, so it doesn't act like it's all the same that we've seen him in, but he's great. He's always fantastic.
Yeah, and then we also have newcomer Supergirl in the film. Instead of Clark Kent, Superman, we have Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, and she's great in this film too. I really liked her performance in this. I would love to see her in the new Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie that'll be coming out in a few years. I don't think that they're going to go in that direction, but I think that Sasha Calle, who plays Supergirl in this, really does deserve more time in the spotlight as Supergirl, because her performance in this was really well done.
Yeah, and overall, this movie I feel like is such a great tone setter for like the new era of DC. We're going away from the more self-serious kind of more like mythological characters that we've seen with like Zack Snyder stuff. I'm glad that we're moving into like a more like silly, but like still it takes itself seriously in the way of like emotional beats and personal stakes, but it doesn't forget that it's a comic book movie,
right?
And I think that's really important, because like this film was so much fun. The first half of this film had me cackling with laughter. I never do that in the theater. I was straight up dying with people next to me. It was just so fun to watch. And I really loved it, and I hope this is where we're headed with these DC movies.
For sure. I couldn't agree more. We're going to talk about that a lot more later. With that being said, we're going to take a quick break, and then Kane Jones is going to tell you all what he would like to see in the future of James Gunn's DCU.
For over a century, the First National Bank has been here, serving our local communities. We're proud to still be locally owned and managed, with friendly customer service from people that you know and trust. We're here to support our neighbors, investing in our communities. We're proud to provide the latest in digital banking technology, serving as your complete financial partner. Visit us online at fnba.bank or stop by one of our convenient locations in Allendale, Mount Carmel, Carmine, or West Salem today. The First National Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Have your weather radio have a flashlight with batteries in it, make sure your cell phone's charged, know where you're going to go when bad weather hits. Go to the lowest interior room in your house and wait the storm out. After the storm, if your power's out or if there's any kind of dangerous situation or anything like that, call Mount Carmel Public Utility Company. As you go outside to survey the damage a little bit, just make sure to stay away from down power lines.
College doesn't have to start at an expensive school far away. You can save money and be close to home at Wabash Valley College. Many careers only require a 2-year degree or certificate. Or get your general education classes out of the way and transfer to a 4-year school. Wabash Valley College has programs in high-demand careers such as physical therapy assistant, advanced manufacturing, marketing, business management, nursing, and radio television. To find out more about Wabash Valley College, go to iecc.edu/WVC.
Now, more of the film reel with Kane Jones.
Hello everyone, my name is Kane Jones, and for this week's segment we are talking all things DC, the DC universe. Director James Gunn is moving to the DC universe. So this is going to be quite interesting, and I'm going to talk to you guys about some characters that I think that he could direct and turn into films or shows even for TV. And so the first that I have for you guys is one of the founding members of the Justice League team that was in the Justice League movie, Cyborg. He's an interesting one. We've gotten solo films and big films from all of them except for Cyborg. He does not have a film. He's an interesting one, and I think with some really good effects and a good storyline, he's one that, you know, Gunn could explore. That's the first one. Moving on to the second one, this character is actually a villain. Lex Luthor, famous supervillain from Superman, right? He's one that I could see either in a show or a film, right? Famous supervillain. And he's one that I think would be interesting to make a film about, right? Now moving on, the third one that I have for you, this character is actually another founding member of the Justice League that doesn't get a lot of attention, and that is Martian Manhunter, a very interesting one. Again, he was a founding member, and what's cool about him, he comes from Mars to Earth and becomes a detective on Earth. So I feel like that's something, he's one that could be explored. I feel like Gunn could turn that easily into a show. I feel like that would be good as a show, Martian Manhunter. Moving on, the next few that I have for you guys are lesser known than those previous, but Hawkman and Hawkwoman, that'd be an interesting one. I could see that as a show, a series that Gunn could make and develop. Another one I have is Mr. Miracle. Mr. Miracle is an interesting one, and Darkseid as well. Darkseid is the son of Mr. Miracle, and Darkseid was actually, sorry, I think I flipped that. Mr. Miracle is the son of Darkseid. And was featured in the Justice League movie even. But again, lesser known, but I feel like it's one that Gunn could explore with a good backstory on him and put that into a show. I could see that being a show. Atom is another one. Now, Atom is similar to Ant-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where he's got the ability to shrink down just like Ant-Man can. He's one that Gunn, I feel like, can explore in a film potentially. Atroticus. I'll say that again for you. Atroticus. Again, another obscure one that Gunn could explore. You got the Green Lantern. Well, Atroticus is a part of the Red Lantern we'll say organization, I guess, for lack of a better group, and he's a villain. So that'd be one that he could explore. Another one that is similar to an MCU character that's very popular, Dr. Fate. Very similar to Doctor Strange in the MCU. And Dr. Fate is a hero, and he's a sorcerer. So you could see where there would be similarities to that of Doctor Strange in the MCU, and he's another one that I personally think I could see on the big screen. And we're getting down to it. I only have a few more. Deathstroke is another one, very obscure. We're getting into the very nitty gritty of the bottom of the barrel heroes that were a part of Justice League that maybe need to be brought to life on the big screen. Deathstroke is actually similar to the MCU character Deadpool, very similar to him. Zatanna. This is a female character that is similar to the Scarlet Witch character in the MCU, a very unique and interesting character that I could see easily being a show. For her, I could see her having her own show. And I only have two for you guys. We're winding down. Eclipso. Eclipso is a villain. Again, very obscure. It's one that I could see maybe getting, it kind of feels like maybe could have like a Bloodshot kind of feel to it. And last but not least, and arguably one of my personal favorites because I'm in news, I'm in broadcasting, and Creeper. This member of the Justice League is called Creeper. For real. And he was a news anchorman, actually, starting out, and a little confrontation with the Joker, and then boom, he's in the Justice League. And that is the last guy that I have for you that I feel like would be good in a series. And I feel like he's one that James Gunn, because I mean, you saw what James Gunn did in Marvel, and I feel like he's an obscure one that James Gunn, with a little, let's say restoration, could bring him to life in a show. And that's it. Those are my picks for characters that I feel like James Gunn, the director, could bring to life on the screen, both big and small.
Thank you to Kane for that. And yeah, we're going to end off today's episode by talking about the future of DC, the DCU. Now that The Flash has ended, and it seems like we're in a new, somewhat different universe. It seems like this leaves the door open for the new James Gunn, Peter Safran universe to come in. Mm-hmm. So, but we do have some leftovers, which is kind of interesting. So Blue Beetle and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom are films that are originally supposed to be a part of the DCEU, but it seems like they may or may not be being included in the new DC universe helmed by James Gunn. So that's kind of interesting. But then with his slate, Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters for the DCEU, we're starting off with a really oddball pick, Creature Commandos, a team that even I haven't heard of. But James Gunn is very well known for taking these characters and teams and making them household names. So I'm sure that this will be great. Then moving on to Waller, which will be a spinoff of Peacemaker, a show created by James Gunn that was in the DCEU. And then Superman Legacy, directed by James Gunn, which will be interesting. And some of those characters appearing in Superman Legacy will actually be appearing in The Authority, which is another movie coming out. Also, The Lanterns is going to be a series for Max that will be a part of the DC universe. Apparently, the plot of this will actually lead into wherever Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters is going into. Then we have Paradise Lost, a Wonder Woman prequel, The Brave and the Bold, directed by Andy Muschietti, the director of The Flash, which we just reviewed. Booster Gold, a Max original series, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, and Swamp Thing, directed by James Mangold, best known for directing Logan. So that's going to be kind of interesting. And then we also have some Elseworlds projects as well, which is basically projects that take place outside of the main universe in like alternate worlds and stuff.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to act like I know much about the DC catalog, but this new lineup has me really excited to actually dive into the comics, do some homework, and learn more about these, because there's some great stories that DC has made that we just don't really know about, because we've really only focused on the big names like Wonder Woman, Superman,
the Trinity,
Batman, and most of those Justice League guys. But I'm really excited to see this because I think James Gunn has such a love for comics and like the source material that really no other high executive really has, and it's really refreshing to see somebody at the helm that has this much love and appreciation for stories that nobody really knows about.
For sure. With that being said, we're going to wrap things up on today's episode of The Film Reel. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned tomorrow because we have another brand new episode for you all. We're going to be reviewing Disney Pixar's Elemental, and then as well talking about a bunch of other Pixar properties. So stay tuned for that, and thank you all so much for watching.